Welcome back to First Look. It's already a full news day and a very busy morning here at the nation's news authority. It's time now, though, for our First Look information segment. It's a very special live interview this morning. One of the major stories coming out of last Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing was, of course, the establishment of a public-private partnership between the government of Antigua and Barbuda and IHO, that's Integrated Health Outreach. They're to establish a 24-hour shelter facility for victims of gender-based violence. To speak to us more about that, we've got live in studio this morning the Executive Director of IHO, Dr. Nicola Bird. Good morning, Dr. Bird.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And also joining us online via Zoom this morning, as he is out of state on official business, is the Executive Director of the Directorate of Gender Affairs, Jamie Saunders. Good morning, Jamie. Can you hear us?
Good morning, Ursula. Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm hearing you partially, but I'm sure by the time we get to you, we'll be able to hear you well, and we are seeing you. So, welcome, Jamie. Dr. Bird, let's start with you as you are live in studio. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you've been working really, really hard toward this outcome for a very long time. Your initial reactions?
Oh, absolute jubilance, excitement, thrilled, extreme gratitude and appreciation. And so we've been working hard at this, but not just at IHO. I mean, it's a whole collective of the community of Antigua and Barbuda coming out for the gender-based violence walk in 2024, 2025. We had over 2,000 people come out. So it's the voice of the nation. So extreme jubilance and gratitude.
Mm-hmm. What gap do you think this is going to fill? As you said, we've been agitating for it for a very long time. Is there a real need for it? Is that why we're now so happy for this?
There's been a need for it for a very, very, very long time. And gender-based violence is something that is a global issue. It's not unique to Antigua and Barbuda. However, the Caribbean has a higher than the global rate for gender-based violence. And so we know it is a serious issue and a serious gap, because women and children who are more likely to experience gender-based violence, they don't have anywhere to go if they're experiencing it. And so even if they report it, what happens? If they don't, we assume that there's family to go to, but that may not necessarily be the case. And then as a result, they have to return to the abuser. And so there's no chance of them escaping the violence.
And it's something that we've talked about, as you said, for a very long time. Even in reporting it, as you said, there's not always somewhere else to go, and so that has been a problem. Jamie, let me bring you in here, Mr. Saunders. Thanks for joining us again. In terms of filling those gaps, we've had these conversations for a very long time. Our country has been doing well in terms of policy development and the legal framework, but this, of course, now, this physical structure will fill a gap. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, good morning again. Are you hearing me clearly?
Uh-oh.
Are you hearing me clearly? Are you able to hear me?
We're not hearing you, Jamie, but go ahead. The official report is, well, the official system is hearing you. I'm not hearing you, but continue, please. We'll hear you in a second.
Okay, well, we are definitely very excited about these initiatives in terms of the 24/7 shelter. We believe that it's definitely more than just a structure. It's going to offer a holistic set of services for survivors of gender-based violence. A lot of people look at the shelter as just something in which persons are coming to just seek haven. But at the end of the day, in order to truly ensure that persons are able to reintegrate back into society, you need to ensure that they have access to a wide and cross-cutting set of services, everything from psychosocial support to being able to learn skills that will enable them to earn jobs or engage in entrepreneurial activities upon their return to society, as many of them survivors struggle in terms of their financial and economic autonomy, which is one of the reasons why many persons are stuck in abusive situations or feel isolated or devoid of options to get out of those situations. And the shelter is also going to form part of an integrated set of services that we already have, ranging from the support of referral center to our social protection services to health services. So I think it's going to bode well for the framework that we already have in place, and it will complement what's already existing nationally.
We witnessed the opening of the Dennis Bowers Rehabilitation Center for young male offenders, and a very wide slate of activities planned for victims who will be housed in this shelter. It's not just a place to sleep. Talk to us about those services, some of what Jamie would have just mentioned, in terms of how you would help to rehabilitate some of these victims.
Yes. Well, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves only because we're just at the very start of planning. But absolutely, you can't have a shelter it's just not just to put people in and sleep for a couple of nights or housing. It's really an opportunity for them to receive support and a safe place to come to. But we recognize that violence is not just a physical or emotional or a mental state. Gender-based violence is usually seen as physical violence, but it's also emotional and financial. There's many layers to it. And so people need an opportunity to be able to heal and, as Jamie said, reintegrate into society. So it's absolutely, the whole plan will be a whole rehabilitation process on multiple levels, because we don't just want people to just come in and survive, so to speak, but to thrive, to be able. So we do want them to be reintegrated into society, and we're creating, as Jamie said, a holistic, integrated system. So if I jump ahead a little bit, the plan that we have is phased. Okay. And so it is starting with a social enterprise. And what does that mean? Is that one of the problems with shelters is the sustainability, because, of course, it demands finances to be able to run a shelter. And so it's prohibitive, because when you look at, oh my goodness, all this money, and it's a social. So we are establishing a women's agri-tech beekeeping farm. So we have acreage is dedicated to that, so that we can start to generate income, one, to help establish the shelter and to sustain the shelter. At the same time, it provides employment and an opportunity for training for the women. So we're seeing it as a complete approach to not just creating a shelter, but sustaining a shelter, which is the larger picture.
And talk to us about timelines. By when do we hope to see this being established? And I know cabinet discussions focus on donor funding as well. Talk to us more about that and what it will take to apart from the social enterprise, get the shelter started.
Yes. So the public-private, or rather public NGO partnership is something that is throughout the region. It's being more and more common, and actually the UN has really said and indicated that it's the best approach for a sustained shelter. So because as an NGO, we can go out and source funding, and we build it on the foundation of the organization IHO, because now we are a UN accredited. We're one of 3 organizations in the Caribbean. So we're very, we're sound on all levels. So supporting the NGO towards the shelter, so we can create the opportunity to find funding, and we're, again, transparent, legitimate, all the good things that would make us a reliable recipient of donor funds. And of course, the government partnership, which is essential, is all the resources and, of course, and the support we get. So it's a win-win. It's a real win-win.
In terms of the timelines, we didn't mention that. What are we looking at?
Well, the phase 1 would be starting the social enterprise so that we can start generating funding and looking for funding as well. So our first hope is just to get that moving. And so within the year, so not 2025, within a year, we're really hoping to start some establishment. So we'll definitely be back telling you we're this stage and that stage. And so, yes, we will be moving along. We just got the approval. Yes, so now we're mobilizing. And we have, of course, the gender-based violence walk coming up for 2026. So that's also helping to mobilize.
Glad to hear that. Mr. Saunders, let's bring you back in here because as Dr. Bird mentioned, the United Nations, I know you, of course, on the warpath, talking about some of the good things Antigua and Barbuda has been doing and perhaps some of the other gaps that we need to fill. How does this then fit into your advocacy on the global stage in terms of what we're doing here on the ground to assist victims of gender-based violence?
Yeah, I think it fits in well. Antigua and Barbuda is signatory to many international conventions and policy frameworks, everything from C-190 to the Beijing Declaration to CEDAW, the Convention to End All Forms of Discrimination Against Violence Against Women. And all of these things hold us accountable and demand transparency in terms of all aspects of promoting gender equality. And one of the components of those conventions is often what we're doing as a nation in terms of combating gender-based violence. I think, as you mentioned earlier, and something I've said many times, on this forum is that we're doing a lot in terms of the areas like legislation and policy, and even to the Support and Referral Center. But this is something that was an institutional gap. And so definitely, I think in terms of just having this survivor-centered approach, in terms of taking seriously people who come forward and understanding the significance and the ramifications in many instances, having implications at life and death. It shows that the advocacy is working. I believe that the cabinet was very responsive to what was said and the proposal put forward by Dr. Bird and myself and our organizations. And I have to thank and commend Minister Turner, who would have, from the time we presented this to him, expressed a very keen interest in seeing it go forward and understanding that, the time is now in order to do this. And as Dr. Bird said, it's a phased approach, but we're confident that as the year, wraps up and as we begin the next year, we're going to really hit the ground running. In addition, to the international grant financing that Dr. Bird and her team will be pursuing on the ground locally. Gender Affairs will definitely be trying to tap into some of the corporate partners that we've worked with before, as well as international partners. We've already had initial conversations with entities like UN Women who are going to be exploring options for both technical support and later on financing as well. And so this is something that we want to assure the public. Although it will take some time, we are very cognizant of the constraints and parameters we have to operate in. And so that's why this public NGO partnership was designed in such a way to make sure that we're strategically moving forward to ensure that we will gradually but surely get this off the ground and ensure that it can be sustained and evolved as needed to meet the needs of the people it's meant to serve once it is established.
And following up on that, because you did mention SARC, what's the plan in terms of how they will work together? Is SARC ready to be seen as immediate intervention and then the shelter to come in as a more, hopefully not too long, but a long-term solution? What are we looking at in terms of that relationship?
Yes, I think they will be inextricably linked in a sense, because a major part of the Support and Referral Center is that referral part, and the shelter will come in as one of those key partners. So I think the Support and Referral Center will serve as one of the key entry points towards people who are seeking care in the shelter, who are looking for emergency or long-term accommodation. The Directorate of Gender Affairs offers different programmatic activities, and I think persons from the shelter will be able to be prioritized from that. We have a relationship with certain social protection entities, and although the shelter will probably seek to establish those same type of linkages, I think part of the aftercare and safety plan of many of the people going to the shelter will be through the Support and Referral Center, whether it be for social protection, whether it be for certain legislative needs they need if anything arises in terms of protection orders after the fact, and even protection orders before going into the shelter. That's something the Support and Referral Center will still offer. Psychosocial support will be offered at the shelter, but when they leave the shelter, that's something that's still needed, and that's a process, and that's a service that we will still offer as well. And so I think there's still many aspects of what we do at the Support and Referral Center that will be beneficial towards those people, both as they go into the shelter and as they transition back into society.
Quickly, just to follow up, Mr. Saunders, you're still looking for private funding, perhaps donors for SARC? I know that had been in the news a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so we have received since last year around 16 days when we would have done our open house, which was geared towards corporate partners. We have received support in different ways, some financial, some would have been in kind, in terms of things like, rape kits, dignity supplies for some of our survivors, clothing and things like that. But we're always looking for support in that sense. And in any event, one of the things that we're going to be doing as well, going forward into the new year, is, I think, trying to engage with our financial entities, whether it be the Ministry of Finance, Treasury, whatever the case is, as we've strategically put some things into our budget that we believe are going to also serve our needs and the clients well, because obviously, although corporate partnership is important, we also have an onus as government and as a department to do certain things financially as well. And so we're going to engage some of the key financial entities and officials to make sure that certain resources are available for the operational needs of the SARC as well. So I think a combined approach between that as well as the corporate entities will be able to serve our needs for the upcoming year.
Thanks so much, Mr. Saunders. Dr. Bird, our time is going very, very quickly. But let me also ask about numbers. You talked about the prevalence of gender-based violence in this country, in the Caribbean generally. And in this case, it might be a case where the large numbers are not what we want to see. But in terms of how many women and children we're able to house, has there been any thought in terms of accommodating numbers?
Yeah, we certainly have. Again, we're still thinking of a phased approach, meaning because if you just start out like big and we want to have like maybe 15 available rooms and 15 families or 15, then. But if we can start out just by starting with a small number and building and growing and expanding. So because of course it relies on financial support. So our goal is just to get it started and then keep building and enhancing it. And I'm very confident that that won't be a problem, like getting it off the ground, getting it started, and because as long as we can house a few, we're off to the start. We learn and can grow. So we're definitely, all of this relies on our financial support, but also the community support, because I mean, we have lots of ways to get the community participating in different activities. So we know how important it is to provide support, because it's not just about women, the person immediately served. I mean, it has a big social impact, long-term and long-lasting, a financial, social. So our goal again is to serve as many as possible. But it's a live thing that's happening as it develops. Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, it is new and it is going to be phased, so we look forward to having you back to discuss the very many phases that will go into this, and of course we're there to celebrate when it finally gets off the ground and we can see the real fruits of your labor. Well, congratulations again from all of us. I know what it is sometimes to have a labor of love and not see the fruits immediately, but you've been at it for a while and we congratulate you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the support.
Welcome. Indeed. And Mr. Saunders, thank you as well. Always a willing guest here on our program. Thank you for as well the work that you've been doing behind the scenes and in front of the cameras as well to get this off the ground. I look forward to chatting further with you about that. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Arthur.
All right, so Jamie Saunders, Executive Director of the Directorate of Gender Affairs, and Dr. Nicola Bird, she's Executive Director of Integrated Health Outreach, joining us to discuss the very latest cabinet briefing result, communication, missive, that a new, of course, shelter to house victims of GBV, gender-based violence, will soon be up and running right here in this country. And of course, they will need your financial and communal, collegial support as well. So we look forward to being able to share more about that with you. All right, let's take a break here. We'll come back to more on Antigua and Barbuda today. The time is now 7:07 a.m. We'll be back with the second hour of Antigua and Barbuda today after the break.